Sunlight filters in as the motorized blinds open on a rigid morning schedule. The thermostat adjusts to a perfect 72 degrees, the coffee maker starts brewing, and the perimeter security system quietly disarms itself. Then, the routine breaks. The climate control panel freezes, locking the house at a stifling 85 degrees. When you try to leave, the biometric deadbolts flash red, completely unresponsive to your fingerprint. You walk into the kitchen to find the primary interface on your refrigerator has been hijacked. Instead of your daily schedule, a stark red message demands a $50,000 Bitcoin transfer to restore access to your physical home. Burglars no longer need to throw a brick through a window to breach your property. To compromise a modern physical space, threat actors simply scan your network, find an exposed entry point, and log in. We have spent the last decade putting cheap Wi-Fi chips into light bulbs, toasters, and doorbells. By connecting everyday appliances to the internet without proper security controls, we have turned our living spaces into weaponized, vulnerable endpoints. When hackers look at a smart home, they avoid the heavily defended smartphone or the router. They look for the cheapest hardware on the network. A generic $15 smart bulb is often the perfect entry point. These budget devices regularly ship with outdated firmware and hard-coded passwords like admin. Attackers scan the internet for open ports, running automated scripts to guess the password until they gain access. Once inside that single bulb, the attacker relies on lateral movement. Lateral movement is a technique where an intruder uses an initial foothold to navigate through a network, jumping from low-value devices to high-value targets. Most home Wi-Fi setups use a flat structure, meaning every connected device shares the exact same digital space. The compromised light bulb sits right next to your work laptop, allowing the attacker to bypass the router's external defenses entirely and harvest credentials directly from your computer. A network's defense is entirely defined by its most vulnerable connected device. When an attacker compromises that $15 bulb, they gain a persistent, trusted vantage point to monitor and attack every piece of hardware in your home. Corporate security teams solve this problem by physically or logically separating vulnerable hardware from critical servers. A traditional home router acts like a strong outer wall, but it assumes everything inside the house belongs there. Once an attacker bypasses that outer wall using a weak smart device, those perimeter defenses offer no protection. This diagram illustrates zero-trust architecture, a security model assuming no user or device is trusted by default. Every connection attempt requires continuous verification. A policy engine evaluates the request, and a gateway enforces rules, ensuring authentication occurs before data flows between devices. We translate this enterprise concept to a home network using micro-segmentation, often implemented through VLANs. A VLAN, or Virtual Local Area Network, is a mechanism that segments a physical network into virtual sections to isolate different groups of devices. By mathematically blocking unauthorized communication between these isolated zones, micro-segmentation stops lateral movement. Even if an attacker compromises a smart thermostat, they are trapped in that specific zone, neutralizing the threat to the rest of the home. You can apply these principles immediately. If you do not have networking experience, take all of your smart TVs, refrigerators, and light bulbs and connect them exclusively to your router's isolated guest Wi-Fi network. For advanced users, the standard protocol is to configure dedicated IoT VLANs directly in your router's administrative settings. You then apply strict firewall drop rules to explicitly block any inter-VLAN routing, ensuring the smart devices cannot initiate contact with your primary network. Next, you must disable Universal Plug-and-Play, or UPnP, on your router. UPnP is a protocol that allows devices to automatically open router ports to communicate with the internet, which can allow compromised devices to create silent backdoors for attackers. For maximum resilience, transition away from smart devices that rely on external cloud servers. Hardware that uses localized control hubs can manage your home's automation without ever requiring an active internet connection to function. Implementing these specific protocols removes the danger of implicit trust. Your home shifts from a vulnerable, open floor plan into a hardened, heavily segmented fortress. The consumer technology market is driven by ease of use, prioritizing frictionless setup over rigorous security. That leaves the burden of defending the network entirely on you. In a marketplace that prioritizes plug-and-play simplicity, Security is often treated as a post-launch afterthought. Most of these devices ship with vulnerabilities that will never be patched, effectively offloading the entire risk of a breach onto the homeowner. Truly owning a modern, connected home means accepting that reality. You can have automation, and you can have comfort, but that convenience must never override verifiable, mathematically enforced security.